Hey guys, what's up? It's Brendan from Heartbreaker Guitars, Las Vegas, and we are at NAMM 2019 in the Paul Reed Smith booth, and we are quite comfortable here because we are back in the green room with Rich Eckhardt. Rich, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to be here.
Oh man, it's so good to just be able to chill out on the couch away from all the crowd and just, have a nice conversation.
This is the first time I've sat down in about 5 hours, so it feels good.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, so Rich, you're the lead guitar player for Toby Keith's band, is that right?
That is correct. 21 years now with Toby.
21 years. You guys, I think rather than just musical partners, you'd probably have to be pretty damn good friends after that much time.
I think we get along pretty well.
Okay, well, Rich, tell us about your background with Paul Reed Smith and how you guys came to have this relationship, and more about your rig, and just talk about Paul Reed Smith guitars.
The Paul Reed Smith relationship is actually pretty interesting. I grew up in Maryland, not far from Paul, and I played at his 1,000th guitar party back in the 80s. And I had a couple of friends of mine that worked at his factory back when they only had about 4 or 5 people working in there. And a friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, Paul's throwing this party, you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." So I got up and played a little bit and hung out, and that was to mark 1,000 guitars made. He probably makes 1,000.
And that was in the 80s?
In a week, and that was in the 80s, yeah. And so I've known Paul since then, but that's when I was still living there. And then I moved to Nashville quite a few years later, and started working there with a lot of other people before Toby. And then when I got with Toby, my name came up with some of the employees that were still there. I said, "Hey, this is Rich Eckhardt, you remember him? He's now playing with Toby Keith," and Toby was kind of on the rise then. And so they reached out to me. They sent me an email, "Are you interested in working with us as an endorser?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd actually really love that." So that was kind of getting reintroduced to Paul and coming back into the fold as an artist instead of
You said you were already playing his guitars.
No, I wasn't at that time. No, I wasn't. I was mostly playing well, let's just say something else. And then I got involved with Paul, and that's pretty much been it's really my main axe now is the PRS.
Yeah. And which one is it?
Out on the road, I'm playing McCarty's. I have several different models, but the McCarty's really kind of suit my style, I think, and what I'm doing with Toby. It really works.
Yeah. Do you deviate from Paul Reed Smith at all, or is it pretty much all Paul Reed Smith?
I'm playing there's a company that went out of business a few years ago called US Masters that made a Fender-esque sort of a guitar. And they had some really nice guitars, and I'm still playing that for the more country stuff, like as good as Ain't As Good As I Once Was, and I Love This Bar, or kind of more of a drop D, straight ahead country thing. So I'm playing that on there, and then but most of the night I'm on the PRS. I also play acoustic on Red Solo Cup. And then for Should Have Been a Cowboy, I play the solo on a Jerry Jones 6-string bass. So I've got a variety of things out there, but my go-to is always been the PRS. Well, it has been for a good part of the 20 years I've been with Toby.
Right. So, Rich, take us back to the beginning. How did you? When did you start playing guitar, and eventually, how did you break into the business?
This is going to make me sound really old, really old. But I remember hearing the Beatles on the radio. Back in the 60s, and I thought, I want to learn how to make that sound. I want to learn how to do that. And that's kind of where it started. And really, the Monkees, and a lot of people laugh, but the Partridge Family was a big influence on me. But if you think about it, the Partridge Family was the Wrecking Crew. It was Tommy Tedesco and all those guys. So it was very, very honorable players in that group.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that was a Wrecking Crew playing on all those records. So that was the stuff that I'm hearing that on the radio and thinking, that's something I want to do. And so, I asked for a guitar for Christmas when I was 8 years old, and luckily I got one, and my mom wasn't opposed to me, making a racket in the house with it. And so just, practiced and played, and obviously started getting into what is now classic rock. Excuse me, because it was more guitar oriented. You listen to stuff like Bad Company and Led Zeppelin and Bachman Turner Overdrive and stuff like that. It's guitar, guitar, guitar. And so it's like, why wouldn't you play music that really featured the guitar? So started getting into all of that and learning all of the licks from those records and stuff like that. And I mean, that's kind of where it all starts. I think that's where everybody starts. You know, just it depends on when you were born, what attracted you to it. And personally, to me, like I said, it was the Beatles and the Monkees. And you know, for other guys, they maybe heard, you know, who knows what, and just decided that's the sound I want to make. That's pretty much what I did, like everybody else.
Right. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about your rig, your live setup?
Right now, I'm playing through two Buddha Super Drives that go into a 412 cabinet, and it's split. I'm actually running stereo, which is kind of weird in big venues to run stereo, but we're all on ear monitors, so the band is getting the full effect of the stereo, the pinging, delays, and things like that. The audience maybe not so much unless they're sitting dead center. They're not really getting full effect of that. But I like running two heads. I think they seem more powerful running two instead of one, and so I like doing that. And then, you know, like I said, I'm playing a lot of Paul Reed Smiths, and I do have a Les Paul that I use out on the tour as well. And going through, I have actually my main processor is an old Roland GP8, which were made in the 80s, and I've had it ever since then, and it's never failed. It's never not booted up. It's never been in the shop. It's never given me any trouble at all. Been playing through, and it's just a rack mount version of 8 of their main stomp boxes. Right. Overdrive, distortion, a chorus, a delay, and that's really kind of my main thing. I'm also running a G major, which is where I'm getting some of the stereo delays and stuff from, and then I have a rack wah. My tech kind of hit me to the whole rack wah thing. When I was running a regular wah pedal, we were running 100 foot of cable out to my pedal board and back. And he's like, you know, let's use the rack wah, because then we're only going to run 4 inches of cable, and then the pedal is just a controller. And so you're not running all that signal. The more signal line you run, the less level, the more level you lose. So now I'm not losing any level. And I thought he was being fussy. But boy, I heard a difference. As soon as we switched over to that rack wah and I wasn't running all that signal cable out and back, I immediately heard a difference in the amount of punch and level in my rig. So it makes a difference.
So you've been playing with Toby Keith for about 21 years. Now, what's the future of that band, and what have they got going on right now and in the near future?
We've never really discussed it, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, Toby's pretty much modeled himself after guys like Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard and Dolly Parton, where he's writing his own material, he's singing and playing his own material, and all those people are still performing in their 70s. So I'm assuming that Toby is also going to be performing for the next 20 years or so. So I'll be there with him if he wants me, you know. So I think that's going to be our future. We'll still be out, you know, walking out on stage with canes going, "Hey, you like me now?" But I think that's where we're going. I think that's going to be it.
What kind of music you listening to these days?
I am still listening to the stuff that turned me on. If I have a chance to sit down and listen to music, I'm listening to the classic stations. I'm listening to the Birds and the Turtles and all that stuff. Still, I still just love that era of music. 1965 to 1975, I think, is the greatest era of music that we've ever had.
I actually have that opinion myself, but when I tell my friends like Sammy over there, he laughs at me and gives me shit because I don't embrace the new music, quote unquote. But I happen to agree with you, that old stuff.
Yeah, I have an appreciation for some of the new music, but I do have to say that when I moved to Nashville in '89, I started listening to country, and I don't know how much you know about country, but '90s country was king. That was like as good as it got. And so I have a great appreciation for that era of country music as well. It's changed a lot now. But the funny thing is, if you think about it, the 90s country music was a change from the 50s country music. And people that grew up on the 50s country music didn't necessarily like the 90s country music. So now you got people that grew up on 90s country music that are not crazy about the 2000s country music. I find some of it to be actually really good. Yeah, there was a lot of junk in the 90s, too. You just have to sift through it and find the good stuff.
Well, Rich, I want to thank you for spending some time with us. It was great seeing you here. I love this environment. It's nice and relaxed. I could stay
Nice.
here for another hour, but anyway, thanks for everything.
Absolutely.
And
Happy to
good
be
luck
here.
on your continued musical efforts.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It's Brendan signing off from Heartbreaker Guitars NAMM 2019. Thanks for watching, guys.